Anne Riddell, and welcome to Arts in the City. We are coming to you today from the Brooklyn Heights Promenade, a perfect spot for enjoying some truly iconic views of our hometown. Brooklyn is also home to the sights and sounds of the West Indian Day Parade, one of our city's most popular festivals. Eddie Bailey has more on the origins of this tradition and the music that fuels it.
The West Indian Day Parade, one of the largest parades in New York City, with over 1 million visitors annually, is a pan-Caribbean carnival celebrating the city's vibrant West Indian culture. What many people don't know is that this massive parade has its roots on the island of Trinidad.
Originally, the idea of Carnival, that was brought in by French and Spanish settlers and established a kind of European-style carnival there. The whole idea is you have a big party, and then you get to Ash Wednesday, and then you live this very pious life for the next 6 weeks until Easter. Slavery ended in Trinidad in 1834. So with that, more and more of the Africans just took it over. And so it was still a big party, but now the music was different. Now you had African drumming and call and response singing. They would, dress up like the African ancestors. So the Trinidadian Carnival is really the foundation for the West Indian Carnival that we see here in Brooklyn.
Emeritus Brooklyn College professor of music and author Ray Allen loved Carnival and Caribbean music so much, he wrote a book about it. Jump Up, Caribbean Carnival Music in New York City is considered the first comprehensive history of Trinidadian, Calypso, and steel band music in the Caribbean diaspora.
It's trying to trace how music coming basically from Trinidad, how that music came to New York.
Some of the music Allen is referring to are Calypso and Soca.
People think about two styles of music now out of Trinidad. One is Calypso, and then the later style is Soca. So Calypso was the earlier style. But the second style, the newer style that grows out of it, is called Soca. Soul Calypso, Soca.
Garvin Blake and Frankie McIntosh are musicians featured in Allen's book.
In Soca, the harmonies seem to be very simple, often triadic, as opposed to Calypso harmonies where you find extensions, ninths, 13ths. This is an example of a Calypso. Now, this is an example of a Soca song.
The most prominent instrument in Trinidadian music is the steel pan drum. In the late 19th century, Trinidadian musicians started playing on discarded oil drums. They discovered that this type of percussion was actually a pitched melodic instrument.
Well, what you're seeing here is a kind of like a finished evolution of the steel pan. So eventually, as people started to be innovative, they came up with the whole chromatic scale. So this would be C, this would be D, this would be E. F comes over here.
The first wave of Caribbean Americans came through Harlem in the early 1900s.
So that migration into Harlem, they brought their music with them. There were Calypso singers and orchestras and steel bands and costumes, mask costumes. And there was a Harlem Carnival from 1947 until 1961, an outdoor carnival. Then what happens is that the Harlem Carnival gets shut down. Supposedly there was a, quote, riot in 1961, which from all I can tell from the historical sources, bricks were thrown, but nothing like a real riot. And at the same time, in the 1960s, the population of West Indian people, especially coming in, shifted from Harlem to Brooklyn. And in 1971, they started another big carnival parade, outdoor carnival parade, this time on Eastern Parkway. And that's what we have today. So the first carnival I personally witnessed was in 1984. And at that point, the music on the Parkway, on Eastern Parkway, was these big sound trucks and actual steel band orchestras. What's happened now is that the steel bands have basically been pretty much disappeared from Eastern Parkway because those sound systems are so loud, the steel bands just couldn't compete.
But they can compete in the annual Panorama event that is in conjunction with the West Indian Day Parade, where steel band members can number in the hundreds. You can also find steel pan musicians pan on the road at Juvet. Break of Dawn in French, Juvet is an early morning celebration the day before the main parade. So, if you ever happen to be in Brooklyn on Labor Day, make sure you head to the West Indian Day Parade to celebrate Carnival and experience it with one of the largest Caribbean communities in the diaspora. This is Eddie Bailey for Arts in the City.
Activism and art come together in an immersive new exhibit that explores the resiliency of New York's Asian American and Pacific Islander community. Here's Ernabel DeMillo.
The newest installation at the Museum of the City of New York is a pop of colors, floor-to-ceiling murals illustrating the resilience of Asian American and Pacific Islanders.
You may recognize the murals by Brooklyn artist Amanda Ping-Bodebakia. Her art was seen in subway stations and on billboards throughout New York City as part of the I Still Believe in Our City and the We Are More public art displays. She created the murals in response to the racism and violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders during the pandemic.
I had seen Amanda Ping-Bodebakia's work up around the city during her I Still Believe campaign and just found it so powerful and it kind of went from there.
Her murals are now indoors as part of the museum's ongoing exhibition, Activist New York, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Ping-Bodebakia also created new works featuring activists Yuri Kochiyama and Malcolm X, both Harlem residents who became friends and allies during the civil rights movements. One of the most iconic images of their friendship was this one, Kochiyama cradling the head of her friend Malcolm X after he was gunned down by an assassin's bullet.
Two kind of storied New York activists who intersected in between 1963 and Malcolm X's murder in 1965. Yuri Kochiyama is an important activist in her own right, involved in, really both of them involved against racism, against war, against nuclear weapons.
Ping-Bodebakia also wants to engage museum goers to speak out on their own activism.
There are QR codes where audience members can respond, give their own answers to the questions that Amanda poses. How are you using your voice? What do you stand for?
Along with Raise Your Voice, Activist New York has another new section, also focusing on Asian American mobilization. This exhibit features the Chinese American laundry workers who fought for labor rights in the 1930s to the 1950s.
These histories of mobilizations, not new, and we're hoping that we can connect these stories of past and present, be it Yuri Kochiyama, laundry workers, with folks around the city today.
For Arts in the City, I'm Ernabel DeMillo.
Now to some delicious delicacies from the Bronx. Little Italy may conjure up images of Italian specialties, but Arthur Avenue also serves up some other tempting options. Here's a taste. Oh, stop.
It's so good.
Wow. If you've never tried a traditional Albanian dessert, you're missing out on sugary bliss.
These are tulumba. And
Paluma?
Tulumba.
Tuluma, okay.
They are almost like a churro, but it's a donut churro type of thing, with minus the cinnamon and sugar.
Okay. It
is almost like a donut just sitting in sugar water. So
sugar water seems to be a theme here.
Yes, sugar water is like our #1 thing. That's what makes all our desserts so good.
Step inside the Arthur Avenue Retail Market and you'll find everything from mozzarella to cigars made by hand. You'll also find Do a Gourmet Market, a brand new shop. the first here owned by Albanian women. It's a deeply meaningful dream now realized for Alexandra.
My grandfather, he was the first Albanian to open up a supermarket on Arthur Avenue, right across the street out here. That was really big for him because he wanted to kind of introduce the Albanian products to all the Albanian immigrants who fled here from communism. But because Albania was under a communist regime at the time, it made it very difficult for him to import these products. So it's really nice to share his legacy and continue his dream and actually carry all the things he could have dreamed of.
For example,
Vegeta, this is...
Vegeta?
Vegeta.
Okay.
This is huge. You can find this in every Albanian household as well. It's like a staple in our pantries.
And what do you use it for?
Seasonings for meats mainly. You can do it for soups, pastas. You kind of get creative with it. It's almost like an adobo for the Spanish community, but this is like our adobo.
Franz is on the executive board of the Belmont Business Improvement District and a longtime resident of the area.
There's just as many Albanians living in this community now as Italians. They have a large number of businesses here, and they're involved in most of the Italian businesses. When Albanians first came to the United States en masse, in recent years anyway, there were no Albanian communities, but they were most familiar with Italian communities, so they moved into Italian communities, which was nothing unusual to Italians because Italy and Albania have been trading partners and friends for literally thousands of years. We have the same core traditions: family, church, food, property.
We have, endless amounts of breads and cheeses and olives in every Albanian Italian household, which really kind of, makes us very similar. For the family aspect, we're also very alike because we're all about family and respect and honor and pride.
Cultural bonds forged in tradition and sweetened at the table. Okay, delicious. I'm gonna be on like a sugar rush for the rest of the day. There is not much that says summer in the city more than a Coney Island hot dog. But as Barry Mitchell shows us, there is more to the humble Frankfurter than meets the bun.
Let's pause to consider a true work of art, the Coney Island hot dog.
My work is influenced by underground comics, Zap Comics, Robert Crumb, who did Mr. Natural, counterculture art, psychedelic posters of the Fillmore. I'm proud to have that connection to that lineage.
Lower East Side resident Steve Marcus is frankly New York's most renowned purveyor of hot dog art and memorabilia. His red-hot original artwork is on display through November 6th at the museum at Eldridge Street. How did you get the idea to do an entire exhibition about the hot dog?
I was inspired by my nephew Nate up in the mountains. We were cooking hot dogs on stick over a campfire, and he said, "This is one of my dreams coming true," and from there I was inspired to do a series of art on the hot dog.
No history of the hot dog is complete without mentioning Charles Feltman, a German immigrant who they say invented the modern hot dog in 1867.
Charles Feltman and Coney Island, Brooklyn had Feltman's Pavilion, but it started off as a push cart on the beach where he was selling Coney Island Red Hots. He came up with the idea that they're hard to hold. So he said, I'm gonna make an elongated bun, which is the origin of the hot dog bun from Charles Feltman.
And slicing those buns was a young Nathan handworker who had bigger dreams.
When he came to America, worked as a bun slicer for Charles Feltman while saving up his money to start his own stand. And he opened up down the block on Surf Avenue, where he charged half the price of Feltman, which enraged Feltman. And Feltman claimed that they were made out of cats and dogs. And so basically Nathan said to himself, what am I going to do about this? And he started a campaign and offered doctors and nurses free hot dogs if they came in their medical garb. That PR campaign worked, and Nathan's is still in business today on Surf Avenue out in Coney Island, Brooklyn.
With 71 hot dogs and buns, Joey Chestnut!
While we were here, we took a look upstairs. The museum is part of the historic Eldridge Street Synagogue. Built in 1886 and opened in 1887, this was the first great house of worship built by and for Eastern European Jews in the United States. In 1982, the building and sanctuary underwent a massive 20-year, $20 million renovation. Steve, I have something to add to your memorabilia collection. Oscar Mayer gummy hot dogs, with our compliments.
Thanks so much. It's so generous of you. This is amazing. Thanks so much. The exhibition is up at the Museum of Eldridge Street until November 6th. I hope everybody comes to support the museum and also to see my artwork.
A Broadway star who quit showbiz and then got cast in the huge hit Come From Away. Sharon Wheatley is an actress, singer, and writer. She shared some funny thoughts and great advice with Donna Hanover.
Stop the world, stop the world, stop the world, stop the world, stop the world.
Sharon Wheatley, an actress in her 5th Broadway hit, Come From Away, has written a book about huge changes in life. Before this show, she quit theater and left New York. Then she suddenly got this show, came back to Broadway, married her wife, and when COVID hit, took a crazy pandemic RV trip. The book is Drive, Stories from Somewhere in the Middle of Nowhere.
My parents taught me that you could take moments that feel very catastrophic, and you could turn them on their head and make them an adventure.
It all began in Cincinnati, where little Sharon pursued dreams of being in musical theater. She got loving support from her siblings and her mom and dad. She did end up on Broadway in Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera, Cats, and Avenue Q. But after 20 years, she gave it all up.
I was hearing no more than I was hearing yes at a certain point in my career.
She focused on writing. She'd done a book before and even written skits for Kristen Chenoweth. 2 years later, Sharon was suddenly asked to audition for a show about the 9/11 grounding of 38 airplanes in Newfoundland and the townsfolk who took care of the passengers. Sharon auditioned and then forgot about it as she helped her mom through cancer. The good news that she got the part boosted her mom's spirits. The stage manager, Martha Donaldson, stepped up when it became clear Sharon's mom would not make it to the show.
Martha handed me a DVD and she said, "This is a copy of Come From Away. Don't tell anybody that I gave it to you, but I thought your mom might like to see the performance." And I gave it to my mom, and she watched it, and she looked at me and she said, "This is a beautiful show, and it's going to be a really big hit." And that's what Martha gave me.
Sharon and Martha fell in love. Sharon's kids, Toby and Charlotte, sped up the proposal.
Me and my sibling kind of double whammied Martha. Toby starting with the proposal in Thanksgiving, and then I, for Christmas, gave them both Mrs. and Mrs. towels.
What makes Martha a great stepmother?
She loves so unconditionally. She just will wrap you up and say, "I've got you."
As for her mom,
she knows that she's insanely talented, so I'm just epically proud of her.
Charlotte herself works on a theater crew.
Did you not get the memo that it's hard?
I did get the memo. So much so that I was, when I first got to college, I was a pre-med major.
By the way, the wedding, after a matinee and with a lot of showbiz folks, even made the New York Times. Come From Away played to packed houses on Broadway for 3 years. Then came COVID. They rented an RV. Along the way, they slammed into a fire hydrant, almost hit a bison, and learned to empty the tanks.
Those tanks really smell. That's a real thing.
Sharon signed copies of her book recently at Broadway's iconic drama bookshop. The cast and crew of Come From Away stayed in touch on Zoom and were thrilled in May of 21 when they got to film their show for Apple TV+.
When Come From Away reopened on Broadway in September of 21, Sharon was in charge of taking the cast and crew selfie. Each performance, Sharon, as Diane, falls in love with another passenger, Nick, just like happened in real life.
Yeah. And they got married.
and they got married.
Have you met Diane?
Many times. She has been to dinner in this apartment, yes. And she has a very thick Texas accent, which I loved. So she'll say, you know, "Hi, Sharon, how you doing?" And I get to say every night, I can be whoever I want to be.
I'm Donna Hanover for Arts in the City.
Next, we visit an artist's intimate sanctuary. Sam Messer's work can be found at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Whitney, among others. Our Lisa Beth Kovitz got a look inside his Brooklyn studio.
Artist Sam Messer, professor emeritus of the Yale School of Art, has been described as the mischief maker in chief.
Proudly I would embrace that.
And Messer makes a lot of his mischief by throwing himself into the world around him.
A lot of people paint or create to escape, but it seems like you create to join in.
My work is, there's no real theory in it. I guess the theory would be just to be engaged with the world.
Much of that engagement includes portraits and collaborations with working writers, notable among them Jonathan Safran Foer, Paul Auster, and of course, Auster's typewriter.
I think because I always wanted to be a writer and I can't. It all started too, though. I went to the Provincetown Fine Arts Work Center in 1981 and I met Dennis Johnson. In my mind, all writers were dead. You know, and I was basically the first painter he knew.
Collaborations with Johnson led to an 8-year odyssey creating the animation Dennis the Pirate, narrated by Liev Schreiber. But this isn't your basic Pixar animation.
But most of all, they lived in terror of the day when Dennis the Pirate might come to their peaceful island homes.
What is that drive for 8 years?
Well, I like the idea that I could not think of anyone else who ever made an animation using etchings. I remember I showed an early version at the New York Film Festival. The people before me was this guy who worked also at Pixar, and he had made this film, and he was up there very proudly saying, you know, this took us 6 months and I only had 40 people helping me make it. And I was like, that's kind of interesting, but you know, I made this with 1,700 drawings all by myself and it took me 8 years.
Messer's work hangs in the Met, the Whitney, the Art Institute of Chicago, just to name a few. And standing in the studio of a living master, I asked for a personal tour of his work.
So this painting originally started, it was this big. And then I decided to make it big, and it was just canvas tacked to a wall. And then I started actually adding this. And then I added this part, and then I cut this away, and this is, you know, then it's just glued down to the panel. So the other thing that a lot of the paintings will do is I allow them to actually to expand or contract. And I learned that through my friends with writers. My friends that write, they don't start a book and say, well, I'm going to write a book that's 317 pages.
And Messer continues to collaborate with viewers and writers and the whole of the world.
When I used to paint John Searle, this old self-taught artist, I remember the last painting we made the day he died. He looked at it before we went to breakfast. He said, well, that's good. He said, that's the best. And he called Kevin Morris, who was his dealer in New York, and he said, yeah, that was the best one we've made. And I realized, yeah, we did make them together, right? So whether it's someone doing something for you or just talking or getting you thinking.
This has been Lisa Beth Kovitz for Arts in the City.
Even in the city that never sleeps, we sometimes need a break. Our photographer Laura Fuchs discovered a quiet oasis in Riverside Park. That is our show for today. Thanks so much for watching. A quick reminder to check us out on social media. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Anne Riddell. See you next time on Arts in the City.